Hello there, how are we doing? It's me again, this video that I only make once every 3 months, recapping the last 3 months of my life. I very much look forward to the day that I watch all of these in a row, just to travel through years of my life in a short amount of time. Anyway, let's get straight into it. First thing I've got to do is, as I normally do when I make these recap videos, I watch the previous one and I see what I ended up doing or not doing from my plans. And these last 3 months were very transformative in my life, in the sense that I didn't do much of what I planned, but a lot of things have turned for the positive, which I'm so absolutely grateful for. So the first thing I need to say is, what did I end up doing in the last 3 months? The goals that I completed, well, I was exercising regularly. Something that I'm doing now, which is pretty cool, is I'm doing rock climbing every week on Thursdays, and every now and then on the weekend, my friends invite me to go to a beautiful location and do actual rock climbing, and so that's a sport that I've gotten quite into. My running has been getting better with the running club at work on Wednesdays. It's become a very great social event. We're getting used to it, and we're going to participate in running events together as a team as well. And every now and then we change location. Once a month we go, on the first Wednesday of the month, we go for a meal after the run. And now that the weather's getting very warm here in Portugal, we've now entered the summer, we also go for a beer. We've only done this once, but we've gone for a beer once after the run, and that's just really nice to be with my friends, doing a healthy practice of running every single week. And I'm really grateful to my colleague who put all of this together. I'm happy to say I've been one of the most consistent. I'm in the top 3 runners in the group in terms of participating, going every single week. Exercise-wise, I've been doing well. Mondays and Fridays, I continue to do calisthenics. Today's actually Monday as I record this. Been doing calisthenics. Yeah, look at that muscle. On the other side of the coin, I've been doing well exercising. I haven't been doing well in terms of losing weight. I started this year with a big goal of losing a lot of kilos. I wanted to lose 14 kilos, 50. And in the first 3 months of the year, so this was the winter months, I had lost 4 kilos. But then over the Easter months, the spring months, I gained 2 kilos. So really, I'm only down 2, and half of the year has already passed. So yeah, I'm not fulfilling my objective in that regard. Mostly it's because I stress eat. There's no reason for me to do this, but every now and then after work, I'd say more often than not, after work I drive into a supermarket, buy a bunch of junk food, and then just eat it all, and it's absurd amounts of calories in a very short amount of time, and it's extremely dopaminergic, and it's instant gratification, and it's not contributing anything towards my big goal. My big goal this year, exercise-wise, was to do a muscle up, but as long as I'm carrying all this extra weight on me, I'm not ever going to be able to. So I'm happy that I'm consistent doing the exercise. I enjoy the exercise. And while a lot of people would expect that the exercise would be a great stress relief, I just find myself going to the supermarket a lot of the times just after I exercise or after work and eating calories unnecessarily. I can't exactly pinpoint the cause of, what's causing me to feel the need to go and do this. I don't know what it is. Hopefully I'll find out. Anyway, today I'm happy that I didn't do that. So there's that at least. I sometimes wonder if it's because I'm not got something to take care of. Like if I had an animal to take care of, if I had children to take care of, or if I had a girlfriend, for example, I feel like my mind shift would be different, and I'd be prioritizing making myself as healthy as possible and doing the best, spending my time improving also the people's lives around me, that I wouldn't have that sort of stress. And I think that reliance, that emotional stability, remove the stress for me to do that. I'm alone, which relates to another point. I've been using dating apps and matching with people, and some of the conversations have gone quite far. I've gone to the point of having some voice calls with girls that I've matched with. Haven't had any video calls yet, and I haven't met any of them in real life. It's a really strange thing, this online dating thing. I chip away at it a little bit day by day on different apps like Bumble, and I've used OkCupid, and there are others that I want to use as well. But it just doesn't feel like there's any authenticity in the experience itself. It's not to say that the women that are going on these apps are not trying to make an effort, or that I'm not trying to make an effort. It's like, it's not a very natural way, I think, of people meeting, even though it is one of the most common ways of people meeting, in the 21st century, especially in the last 5-10 years. I'm trying, but it's just a very strange experience, and it doesn't feel very natural to use dating. Also, my message game isn't strong. That's a thing I could improve on, probably should improve on. Do I need to improve on it? Anyway, no, that's another contributing factor. So I think if I had a relationship, if I had a girlfriend and a stable lifestyle, I think it would also help to contribute holistically to all-encompassing life well-being, that I don't feel the need to go out and give myself instant gratification through a short dopaminergic and excessive consumption of sugars. So the only other great thing about the last 3 months, which has seriously improved my mental health, is that I've decided to stop paying attention to geopolitics, and I feel so much better for it. I was trying really hard to understand the way that the world works and geopolitics, corruption, and all of these things going on in the world, in hopes that by informing myself and informing others of it, that it would make a dent into the system. But at this point, I just feel like you cannot change it. No, the system is absolutely corrupt, and I want to contribute positively to the world and improve the way that things are for people, but I don't feel like the system that we've got at the moment is going to ever permit an actual positive change. It does make me worried about civil unrest happening soon. I want to explore all of the peaceful options of changing the system, such as massive, like uniting all of the different unions, instead of all different unions being separate. They're all united. Make a sort of like a workers' union where everyone does a massive stand-down protest, where everyone refuses to work and pay taxes until there's an actual change to the system. And I want to explore that option before, civil unrest. Any sort of conflict that's caused internally, where they pitch, people against each other, whether it's for politics or for religion or other reasons whatsoever, is all a massive distraction and destruction, and it wouldn't fix the problem, the system itself, which would take advantage of any crisis like that. If violence does arise for whatever reasons that it does, and it occurs between people who are workers who are at the bottom of the population, and there isn't a uniting to change the system itself and get rid of the corruption and all the cronyism and all of these different words that you can use. The system's just going to take advantage of that and try to come along shining armor and say, oh look, I've got the perfect solution after all of this civil unrest. If you sign away all your rights, I can make things safe for everyone and make sure that you don't go hungry as long as you become a bit more of a slave and under control. So I don't think the people in power right now are unaware of these things, and the system has been crafted in such a way that I think prevents any real massive change from happening. Of course, divide and conquer being the first and foremost strategy to take the attention away from where the problems actually exist. It's such a shit show, and I feel like I can't do anything about geopolitics, so I stopped paying attention to it. And I've done so, I think, a bit over a month ago, maybe up to 2 months ago now. And I've got work colleagues with whom I would talk beforehand about geopolitics, and they're coming to me like, "Oh, look, Keir Starmer's resigning. What do you think's happening next?" I'm like, I don't care at this point. It's like, yeah, they'll just put another puppet in, and things will continue to get worse, and I don't care. It's like I don't know what else to say. It's like whether I inform myself about these topics or not doesn't make a difference in my life. It really doesn't. And whether I know certain exclusive facts about, oh my god, this thing happened in the Iran war, and no one's paying attention to it, and then a month later it's news, and I'm like, no, this was known a month ago. Why are news channels only talking about this now? And then I realized, look, whether I know something a month earlier or not doesn't make a difference, doesn't change shit. Whether I even know about things or not doesn't change shit. So I stopped using X, and every now and then I go back on it, but it's like just doom scrolling slop at this point, because I'm not using it to engage with it the way that I used to, in a controlled manner, paying attention to specific accounts and different topics of engagement. The only thing relating to geopolitics that I still pay attention to, because I still feel in my heart some care for it, is what Candace has been reporting on the Charlie Kirk assassination. Because the truth has to come out, and I would be absolutely devastated if it ends up being another JFK situation where 60 years pass and we don't have the truth of the situation coming out. On the other hand, there is a positive point amongst all of these different negatives. I can say that genuinely I believe this positively. AI is large language models, and coding agents are becoming so sophisticated that the government's having to ban it because of how deep they can reach into uncovering information within different governmental systems, even secure systems like the NSA. And so I generally think that we're entering a time where the investigative journalists and white hat hackers amongst the population who want to expose all the corruption that is going on in the governmental level are going to be able to use the coding tools and AI agents. And I expect within the next 2, maybe at most 3 years, for these algorithms to become so sophisticated that they end up uncovering most of the files that haven't been revealed yet, that we've been waiting for. And that's one of the only positive points that I can point towards, is that I don't think they're going to get away with hiding off all of this information for as long as they would hope they will. All of these different secret agencies and surveillance states and all of that. A lot is going to get revealed and exposed, which I'm absolutely positive about, and so I'll just let that happen. I'm not going to pay any more attention to geopolitics. It's just a dead end. It's just a dead end. the rabbit hole just keeps getting deeper and deeper, and you end up not breathing any air or seeing any light at the surface if you just keep going down. And on one hand, I feel very happy to have gone down that rabbit hole, just for two reasons, main ones. I found it entertaining while I was doing it, but also now that I have stopped going down the rabbit hole and not trying to go down the rabbit hole anymore, I also find that it's freed up a lot of positive emotions in my life by not constantly stressing myself unnecessarily with learning even more corruption going on in the world. So this means, what points did I fail? Well, I already talked about failing my diet, and I also don't have the best evening routine because of this whole thing of going out to buy sugars unnecessarily and then watching YouTube non-stop until I feel tired and go to sleep. This has been a regular habit, and I'm not happy about that. The time that was freed up by not doom scrolling has now been filled up with watching more YouTube, which isn't good. Just replace one form of wasting time and consuming content with another one. Yeah, and that's been my biggest bane in life since I was 12 years old, I would say. Maybe more seriously, since I was 15 years old, is watching YouTube all the time. Too much YouTube. I don't do so in a nice, controlled, restricted manner, which is bothering me. I'll get to how I can flip that later. Yeah, I didn't do the ARE course, which I said I would do, and I knew that the 22nd of March would be a great time to start doing it, but I didn't. And now it's the 22nd of June, and I don't even feel like making a commitment of doing it now. I feel like the things will, when it comes to spirituality, things will happen when they're meant to, when they're supposed to. That's part of God's plan. And so even if I want to will this into, happening, I don't think it's part of the current timeline, which I'm supposed to be on. So I'll just let it happen when it happens. And yeah, I didn't make any videos in the last 12 weeks. 13 weeks, is that? Yeah, I think it's 13 weeks season. Yeah, and that's the main thing I want to change. That is legitimately the main thing I want to change. In a similar vein of this whole letting things happen when they're supposed to happen, if there was one thing that I wanted to will and force into being, it would be to make more videos. I genuinely think that would give me a lot more fulfillment. I also want it to be natural and out of my own wanting to do it. And it hasn't been the case for most of my video making career. I've sort of had to set myself strict deadlines and then find ways to fulfill those deadlines as the effort for making videos, which ends up not giving a very good expression of video because I'm not so genuinely, naturally enthusiastic about it. And you can end up, turning something that you want to be something positive into, a grudge. But I think I would get a lot of enjoyment even despite the not natural wanting of it. But just being happy with the results of making it. I think that would be really excellent. And so I've got many video project plan ideas that I would be very happy to complete, especially related to old school RuneScape, my favorite video game. So yeah, one of the solutions for the diet, of course, is to stop stress eating. That's just the single rule. But I've also been doing a good job adding a lot of protein to my diet. So that's been going well. There was something I wanted to say earlier, but I didn't get around to it. I get the feeling that I will remember eventually. But yeah, maybe it's about the spending less time paying attention to geopolitics or something. I feel like I've always got more to say, but I'm not really saying anything. And so overall, I've become happier this last spring. I'm just happier in general. And of course, a big part of it from quitting paying attention to geopolitics. I've shifted the way that I do my journaling. So now the way that I journal, let me see if I can give an example page. Yeah, this is the way that I've been doing it right now. I put the date here on the left and right, and two different dates that I'm using. I won't bother explaining. And I only write down whatever I find interesting on that day. Before I used to have a checklist of things I wanted to do every day, and then it wasn't making a difference of whether I was actually doing it or not because it was written in my journal. It wasn't making a difference, and it ended up just causing a lot of weight on me for not ever feeling like I'm ever having a proper day. And so I've taken that pressure off me, which is another contributor to my overall happiness in life. And I just want to write down what happens differently, not the usual regular stuff that's boring and not interesting. Unless I have a particularly eventful day at work, I won't write anything about the work I do. Unless something happens outside of the extraordinary during my other routines of like regular exercise or typical where I travel to and whatever. I don't write it. Only things that I feel like are noteworthy. I can have a day on the weekend where nothing particularly special happens. So I won't journal anything. And I'm absolutely fine with that. It's not been something, a lot of people, they put a very particular standard when it comes to journaling. Like they do it every single day for over 1,000, 2,000 days. And that's the only way that you really reap the reward. I think that would absolutely work for a lot of people, but I've got to say that for myself, I feel like the way that it would work for me is different. Not to say that any of the advice that other people give isn't good. I just feel like you've got to personalize the advice to what works best for yourself. So yeah, I already mentioned this and that. Oh yeah, I had bought a bit of land earlier this year in January, and finally in March the deeds got signed and it's officially mine. But getting to the land is a bit difficult, and I didn't have any of the proper tools to clear the land, and I didn't have any of the knowledge of how to clear the land. But as part of my big goals in life of gaining practical real world experience in self-sufficiency and being able to rely on myself more, I decided to go out of my way to learn about these things. And so after great conversations with people who work in stores that sell farming equipment, and colleagues and friends of colleagues who do a lot of landscaping for a living and working in nature, I got a lot of advice. And so I bought myself a chainsaw, I bought myself a brush cutter, and I went all the way down to my land, which isn't a very good road for my car to drive down. I don't want to put that much strain on my car. It's not a good road. Too bumpy, hasn't been renovated in years, all off-road dirt track. But I do get to the land, and with the help of my friends in the beginning, but then later on my own, I've been clearing it bit by bit. And I like doing like 2 or 3 hours of work in the morning and not overworking myself. And it's incredibly rewarding. I love spending time in nature. I'm gaining a practical skill. This is a bit of land that's mine that I'm very excited now that most of the clearing has been done, because it hasn't been cleared in decades. I'm going to have an actual nice space that I can either plant vegetables in, plant trees in, maybe build a little wooden shack or something. Just have somewhere that I can go to as like a little nature retreat that's my own. And there are some ways that I could make some profit on the land if that was what my main interest was. There's a lot of work more to be done because it's sort of like half on a flat bit, which I've cleared, and then half on a slope, which would be very difficult to clear unless I paid like professionals with proper machinery to do it. If I was doing that on my own, sure, I'd save a lot more money out of it, but it would take a very long time and be a huge project. Yeah, I've just got a place that I can go, plant stuff, spend time in nature. I've got some ideas running in my head. For now, all that I've cut has to deteriorate. Portugal has a terrible problem with fires, so we are not permitted to make any fires all the way until, I think, October. And early after October, only when it's wet and humid and there isn't that much wind that are you permitted to do it. And you can go online, and Portugal is very good about these things, about they'll tell you when the conditions are right to do this if you register interest in burnings, and then you tell them the location so that the local firefighters know where the fires are going to be done. And so when they're surveilling it, for example, my company that makes drones can surveil the area and find, okay, it's a controlled fire, it's not getting out of hand. So I've got to wait a long time to clear all of the cuttings that I've made. And only then will I be able to get a more realistic idea of what I want to do next on the land. But I'm happy that I've got this first bit of work done. So I'm happy about that. I've got power tools now, so that's cool. Been running lots around a trail in the last 3 months in a competition. It was difficult, it was tough, really tough on my legs. And I want to keep doing trail running. I want to start doing 1 or 2 at the weekend. I think that would be very good for the routine. Oh yeah, this is such an important thing to talk about. I went on holiday to the UK and I went to my cousin's wedding. This was the happiest day I've had in a very long time. It was such a beautiful day, beautiful service. And the whole trip to the UK was amazing, a massive nostalgia trip. But that day in particular is one of the ones that's made me the happiest. The groom, Sam, he gave an excellent speech where he said that Lizzie's grandparents would be so proud we're here today to see the wonderful woman that she's become. And I know that from the afterlife they're watching down with a massive smile on their face and good spirits for the beautiful day that it was. I had always wanted to attend a proper British wedding on a beautiful spring day. And nothing beats the British countryside in spring on a beautiful day like that was. It was nice and sunny, blue skies, no clouds, no chemtrails. It was just a lovely day, and the whole event went swimmingly. The vicar was also very funny and managed to relieve a lot of the tension through humour and quick wit during the service. And he also had a very, very positive aura about him as well. At one point we were singing, and the first 2 verses, and there was an organ playing, and the first 2 verses we were singing. But then for the 3rd verse, no organ was playing, and everyone was a bit confused till one person starts singing the 3rd verse, and then slowly everyone else starts joining in, and we sing the 3rd verse a cappella. And after that, the vicar said, "It looks like we have a part-time organist," which was just a fantastic way to relieve the tension and make the day go less stressful. There was a lot of good humour throughout the day. There were also emotionally deep parts during the speeches when they needed to be deep as well. It's just going to be a day that I'm going to remember for the rest of my life. The rest of the UK holiday was excellent. I love Britain with all my heart. Absolutely. I love Britain. And I know that a part of me will be spending a lot more time living there in the future, not just in Portugal. I know that my life will be split between the 2 countries. I don't know how it's going to look, but however it plays out, foreseeable future in my life, I want to live it as positively as possible and appreciate it as much as possible. So What that means is I'm here in Portugal and I can think, oh man, all of these things that I would benefit from getting in England, but I don't have right now. And I could feel down for missing out. But then I know that if I was in England and I'd think, oh damn, all of those things that I'm missing out in Portugal, like the food, the weather, my friends and family, and I'm not getting that here. I can very easily live in both sides of the situation and only focus on the negatives of what I'm missing out on and always think that the grass is greener on the other side. Or I can completely flip that mentality and I can appreciate to the max all the things that I get here in Portugal right now that I wouldn't get in England. And when I go to England, if I eventually do, I expect I will. I want to appreciate England as much as possible and all the positives that I get there that I don't get in Portugal without, dwelling so much on the fact that I'm missing out on things in Portugal. And so that way I win on both sides. I'm always appreciating the greener grass. And I think these last 3 months especially have made me extremely grateful for my typical lifestyle that I get to live right now. And so I'm extremely grateful for that. Living more in the present, more in the moment, not so attached to, paying attention to a bunch of bullshit geopolitics that I can't do shit about, That's one of the things that's given me a lot of positivity. What else? I had a carvery in Glastonbury, and that was the first carvery I had in years, and it was excellent. I went to Swanage, which is the main beach holiday destination in England that my family, going back multiple generations, has always gone to together as a family. I got to eat full English. I got to eat fish and chips. I had that carvery in Glastonbury, and Glastonbury is a fascinating town as well, and I would love to visit again. Went to multiple pubs. I did walks all over the place, especially to Harry Rocks, which was an excellent walk. If you're in Swanage and you like hiking, I highly recommend you do the hike all the way to Harry Rocks. Old Harry Rock, beautiful white cliffs with the grass on top to a sheer 30-meter drop to the ocean, and just wonderful adventure, adrenaline. Of course, I go to the arcade on the 2p coin machines, and that was fun. Went on the old steam train that they had renovated, and for my dad, it's especially special, the steam train, because his favourite photo of me and my brother is one that we took 20 years ago when I was just like 6 or 7 years old. My brother was like 4 or 5, and we had train conductor hats on, and we were sat on a bench, and Dad sat next to us, and so that's my dad's favourite photo. And so we decided to replicate that 20 years on. And I've got a very special gift that I'll be giving my dad for his birthday. Look forward to seeing his reaction. In the last 3 months, I hung out with some friends who make music, and that was really fun, making music together. I love that creative expression. I've got a piano over here that I want to explore the sounds on and try to looper, and so spend more time expressing creatively with music. What else? Oh yeah, at my company, I've been there for 3 years now, and I had my annual review, and I didn't hear anything I wanted to hear. I keep asking all the time, give me a few weeks or a few months to help the company on the English side of things. It's an Anglo-Portuguese company, right? So, I can help on the English side of things, but they said they don't see that in their timeline for the next year, and they said that they weren't happy with my performance of last year. And most of the critiques that they had were a few flaws that there were in the work that I was doing that were limited to that short window of time within which the annual review happened. And if my annual review was months before, months after, this wouldn't have been a point of criticism. And it ended up being a little bit one-sided, I'm afraid, the whole thing. And without inspiring any confidence for me to have a position in the company in the future that I would be excited to build towards, they didn't give any sort of inspiration. That's unfortunate. On the other hand, the social aspect of my work is one of the things that I appreciate the most. And that's one of the things about appreciating how green the grass is where I am. I know how lucky I am to be working with such wonderful colleagues, and I want to make the most of it, because I know that I won't probably have such a good work environment in the future. So I want to appreciate that to the max while I can. Work has become a bit more enjoyable lately, and I've seen that it sort of ebbs and flows. It goes up and down over the years that I've been working there. And I'm happy to say that I'm at one of the more positive points, or where I can say least negative points at the moment, despite shit wages, despite not really seeing much of a future, despite not enjoying the work in general and not wanting to do it for a lifetime. I can still appreciate the positives such as the social aspect that work brings, and all of the stability emotionally and mentally, and even physically with the running club, for example, at work. There are so many things to appreciate, and I want to make the most of it and appreciate it while I've got it. I want to make old school RuneScape videos. I already talked about this. This is something that it's just one of my favorite things to dream about, and that I know that I will enjoy doing and that I want to build. I know that if I took it seriously, if I took it really seriously as my main hobby for the next 2 or 3 years, I think even before I turned 30 years old, I could easily, probably, not easily, but I could definitely get, say, at least 20,000 subscribers. But that's only if I took it seriously. I know that the potential's right there. And I think I would have a lot to contribute positively to people's entertainment value that they get on YouTube. Watching the content, I think they would appreciate the ideas that I want to express. I made a few cheesecakes The first 2 attempts went all right. The third one went terribly, but I plan to go for a 4th attempt and share that with people. And I've been sharing the cheesecakes with people, and they've been loving it. And that's been fun to just get in the mood to do something and go and do it. I've been doing that. I went to Gibraltar for a few days as well. That was also really nice. Yeah, I love Gibraltar with all my heart. I could see a possibility of me even living and working there for a while. I think that's entirely realistic. I spent over 1.5 years of my life in Gibraltar, probably close to 2 years, just on different summer holidays while I was growing up. Portuguese summer holidays last 3 months, and so if you sum 3 months, 6, 7 years in a row, that gets you at least 1.5 years. Life has been spent in Gibraltar, and I love it. And so we went there, brought a bunch of biscuits back to share with my work colleagues because I love English biscuits. They're excellent. What else? I chatted with a good old friend, a wise old man called George, who passes by the donut shop that I go to regularly. And yeah, he's just a really lovely guy. To live such an extraordinary life, and so I went to a ramen restaurant with my calisthenics friends. I do calisthenics every Monday and Friday, and this ramen restaurant was the best ramen I've ever had in my life, and I really want to take my brother there. I think he will love it. He's working in Germany at the moment for a few months, but he'll be back around my birthday. So he's actually coming back on the day of my birthday. And so soon after that, I really want to treat him to some lovely ramen. A colleague at work, Fred, he is the life and the energy at our company. And he's moving from one place of the company to another. He's physically moving to a different sector. And so we're going to miss him. And so I had this idea. He normally animates the people by playing on this keyboard that there is at work during lunch breaks, learning the chords and getting people to sing together. And he brings a lot of positive energy. So I know how to play piano. I thought, I'll learn the piano chords to Hey Jude on the piano, and we'll make a surprise. We'll change the lyrics and we'll surprise him. And it caught him off guard, and he had a really emotional reaction, but he was, I think he's going to have very good memories of the last day he worked with us. So, and I'm happy to say that I managed to play the piece without making any mistakes, and it all went well, the performance. And so that was a lovely surprise. I also played the piano at the donut shop on the day after, and I think people really enjoyed that. I bought a domino set to give as a gift to the donut shop owner, and so we play dominoes and we play cards every now and then, and so it's been good entertainment. I also got to say hi to the other donut shop owner who's been out of the country for 5 months. Really missed her, and it was so nice to see her again, well, for the first time since January recently that she's out of the country again. The conversations I have with her are unlike conversations I have with anyone else. It's super exciting to talk with her. And so yeah, I miss her, and I hope that she comes back soon again so that we can keep chatting. What else? I also had a great conversation with an old friend of mine from university, a guy called Dan, who was my best friend in the UK, I would say, and part of my groups of friends. We had an awesome conversation, and I look forward to seeing him in August. I cannot wait to see him. It's soon. It's only a month and a half to go, and so I cannot wait to spend time with him. I've been enjoying good food in restaurants over the last 3 months, constantly eating nice food, which I'm loving. Quite often it's impromptu. That surprised me. It's a bit of the Portuguese way, but I'm trying to flow with that a bit more, so that's nice. I went to a house music festival, so it was cool to listen to some live music a bit before I go to the UK for the Boom Festival. I'm super excited for Boom Festival. That's going to be amazing in August as well. Swam in a river, held a crayfish. That was cool. And I'm watching the Portuguese football games with my workmates. Man, this video's almost finished. I've only got a minute left. I'm watching the Portuguese football matches at work with my workmates, and so that's been another nice social aspect. I've already talked about my goals. Diet, I want to spend more time in nature. I want to make a video per week, mostly old school RuneScape. I want to try actually going on dates and not be on the dating apps. I want to do a bit more mindfulness, less YouTube, and more meditation. I want to try to contributing writing to my book. That's one I feel like is least likely to happen out of my goals for the next 3 months. But that's pretty much it, summarized for what I want for the next 3 months. Diet, nature, a video a week, go on dates, mindfulness, and maybe start writing my book. Okay, I'm out of recording space. Thank you for watching this video. Bye-bye.